Alright, I'm Manny from We Are Change East Bay, and I'm here with Greg and my good friend Jim. First time on the show. We're going to be discussing a lot of topics today. We're also going to be getting some side commentary from our good friend Don, sitting in the background. Everybody is talking about it. Everybody's hearing about it. The DC Naval Yard shooting. I mean, it's big news right now. One of the things I will remember, and I'm going to let you guys go ahead and take it after this, is that generally when terrorist acts are put into the media, they're usually fake. If we look back at the 70s, when you had a lot of radical groups, what do you call them? Some would say the radical, I guess you could say like the Black Panthers, the Brown Berets, those types of groups. They would commit acts of terror, blow things up, sabotage things, but they would always get back of the page coverage. They would never get front page headline, this is what happened. They would try to hide it. But nowadays we see this constant headlining of the underwear bomber, the Aurora shooter, the Portland shooter, the Hassan, the Fort Bragg shooter. All these headlines keep you paralyzed in fear, and this is what we're going to prescribe to you, and this is what's going on. Fear this, fear this, fear this, give up your rights. But in the 70s, we didn't really see that because, there's actual terrorist organizations, quote unquote, committing acts of terror, and they never got front page coverage. So enough with that. I'm going to let Greg and Jim take the talk time here. Like I said, there's a lot to go over. So what do you guys think? It's pretty theavy and deep, but I don't know where you guys want to start.
Well, I think there's some simple questions that we really need to ask, and that really is what weapons did this guy have? How did he get them there? Who did he kill? But I think one of the main questions that you're going to see coming up now is why were we told first that there were 3 shooters, then later the story changed to 2, and then now we're told it's a lone gunman. So we're back to the lone gunman thing, and it's like
it's just like the Aurora shooting, right?
It's just like John F. Kennedy. It's the same that we're right back to, and probably even further on. But so I thought that was kind of strange how you can always see that the story constantly changes as time goes by, and this story is definitely changing, and it still will. I think there will be a lot of things that come out, but I think there will be a lot of hoaxes that are going to be put out there too.
I think so. Jim, what do you think? I mean, as far as what we know now is, because there's a lot coming out. There's definitely a lot coming out.
There's a lot coming out, but I mean, I'm not sure if his actions were taken against people that he had a vendetta against, or if it was just random. And the reports were that he had an AR-15, and then it said no, he had a shotgun and 2 handguns. There was speculation that the AR-15 may have come from a police officer that he had previously shot. So there's too much unknown information really right now for me to really make a educated guess about what has actually happened.
Mm-hmm.
The 2 and 3 shooter thing does interest me, and it'll be interesting to see if that ever does materialize at all.
Yeah, they were saying they had two of them down, I think, at one time, and there was one shooter that they were still looking for, and that was like one of the first things. And that always seemed kind of strange. Cause,
he was only in camel gear.
Yeah. So, and there was some like older guy, I guess, who had like white sideburns, and so that was the other guy that they were looking for. So I don't know. It was just like that to me always seemed strange, because that's usually how it happens. You have, for something like this, I just don't see how one person could pull this off.
Well, yeah.
So that would be one of the things I would look for is could one person, probably, if he's but this guy doesn't really seemed like he knew, and even some of the people said that he wasn't a good shot. You know, he didn't. He did, the thing that saved their lives was that
his inaccuracies.
Yeah. So that was strange.
Well, one thing that you mentioned about the whole, we still don't know.
That's true. We still don't know anything.
Brings this to mind. Okay, the little things that do come out, we have to really pay close attention to them and see if the details change. There was an alleged report that 9 hours prior to the shooting, they're already reporting out in the media. So to me, that's a red flag right there. Okay, so now I'm going to continue to question it. So the multiple shooter aspect, okay, well, went from 3 to 2 to 1. And when we look back in history, where else have we seen that? The Aurora shooting. There was alleged tear gas canisters coming from both sides of the theater and smoke grenades or whatnot. And then, the Batman shooter himself. So, again, we're back to that story of 3 people. Now it's 2. Now it's 1. And I posted this on Facebook a few days ago, and I asked the question. It was just a question. And we're starting to get some of the answers. Is this: how many times is the story going to change?
Well, shouldn't it change? I mean, it should change because as you learn more, as you find out what the truth is, it'll change to what the truth is, right?
So I'll ask this question then.
In theory.
The question of, okay, reports of 3 shooters, how does that change to just 2 and 1? And when we see these strings of shootings, again, I'm not trying to, rely on coincidence here. I'm just looking at, the aspect of handlers. And when we talk about people committing acts of assassination, we look back at the Kennedy assassination, and there were handlers. According to the people on the grassy knoll, all that other stuff, people following them. So when we get into the question of handlers, we look again as facts come out. They were following the guy around with an energy weapon, quote unquote.
I find that very far-fetched.
Okay, I totally agree with the Buck Rogers.
It's possible.
Sci-fi craziness.
I don't know how you're gonna prove that.
But several months ago, given to the public, Google introduced the technology where they can beam sounds directly into your head. So call me conspiracy crazy all you want, but just remember this: the SR-71 Blackbird was released to the public in the late 70s, early 80s. But they're flying that thing since the 50s. So, generally speaking, whatever the government has in terms of high-tech, militaristic capabilities, you're not going to know about it for another 30, 40, maybe even 50 years. And the sound wave technology of beaming sounds into people's head, again, I'm not trying to go into Buck Rogers' Conspiracy Wonderland, and I'm sure you could probably add to this, guys. The whole Illuminati mind control antenna system where they allegedly have the capabilities of using cell phone towers, different terrestrial antennas that can literally beam sounds in your head, kind of like in the episode of the Brady Bunch where Marsha, with their new braces, she kept picking up the radio stations and was like, I keep hearing the radio, like I can't get rid of it, So, I mean, yeah, it's a show, but maybe they're trying to tell us something, I don't know. And with Google coming out with this technology saying, hey, look, we have the capability of beaming sounds literally into your head because we understand the frequencies through hertz and all that good stuff, megahertz, and a lot of the things that Nikola Tesla discovered, they're implementing it today. So I don't know, to me it doesn't seem far-fetched, but again, the whole sci-fi aspect of these things, it makes it far-fetched. I don't know, maybe I could be completely in Buck Rogers land, conspiracy guy, but I'm gonna let you guys take it from here. I mean, it's pretty hardcore in terms of what the government actually has. So I'll leave it at that.
I do believe I've seen that, what you're talking about, and I think I've seen it mounted on some sort of like a Humvee type.
Oh yeah, they vehicle. Have that as well.
And it was like a half, like a rearview mirror of a car shape,
mm-hmm.
and with a convex shape to it, where they could, beam out a signal of whatever frequency and use it as crowd control.
Right.
Yeah.
So
okay.
I know what you're talking about. I've seen it. I've never seen it personally, but
it's alleged that it was actually used against the Tea Party, and if I'm not mistaken, Occupy as well. Pittsburgh, G20, 2009, was the first actual, and I urge every single one of you to go and research this, look it up. I've been screaming police state for the past like 4 or 5 years, just seeing what's going on. But talking about what Jim here, what you just mentioned, we're literally talking about acoustic weapons, sound weapons that utilize low frequency sounds that could be transmitted, completely unrecognized or heard by the naked ear, but other parts of your body that resonate in those frequencies. And I'm not trying to get all new agey frequency resonation, we're going to transcend the human race, that kind of stuff. All that I'm saying is that humans operate on frequencies, and our central nervous system is an electrical system that operates on hertz and frequencies. So if they can tap those frequencies from an outside source through the technologies that you had just mentioned, Jim, it is possible to beam sounds into someone's head. Potentially. I haven't personally went out and bought the Google tech that can do it. In Japan, they have billboards that, make sounds, and people who can pick them up, hear them. They also have them here in the United States, not billboards, but I believe they call it the mosquito or something like that, where it emits a low frequency sound that people who are over the age of, I believe it's 21 or 25, because of the degradation of your eardrums, you no longer can hear it. But people that are younger and have more sensitive hearing, it's annoying to them, so they quote unquote don't have the want to loiter. So these technologies are nothing new. That's all that I'm trying to bring to the table, and I'm glad that you mentioned the sound weapons. A lot of people say this is the fringe of conspiracy, and none of that is real. But again, look into what Jim had mentioned. The reflectors with the sound emissions, the high frequencies, low frequencies that the normal ear cannot hear, but it potentially has the ability to affect the body.
Absolutely.
So to clarify the whole conspiracy aspect, that's what I wanted to bring. But you had mentioned the changes of the weapon, and let's get into that a little bit. How did that affect the whole gun control agenda? I mean, they always try to parade AR-15. This is the weapon that kills.
Yeah, it's all assault. Everything's assault.
Right.
And everybody's wrapped up into this thing where all weapons are bad, and I heard something. I'm not sure if it's true or not, but is it true now that we can't have a magazine with over like 5 shots or 9 shots now?
They're pushing for lowering the limit. Last I recall in California, because there's a lot going on. There's so much going on in our state. We're like the main. Everyone says Texas is this main battleground for rights. We've already lost our rights, so we're super battling hard right now, as you can see. They're pushing really hard to lower the limit. What was it? 10 rounds in an AR-15 or 15? Because there was the ban, the original ban came in, everyone had 30-round magazines, and they lowered it saying that, we're going to make it safer. So part of the whole agenda, again, is just continuation of limiting it. But I'm going to need to look a lot more into what you're talking about, because I do know that some of the bills have passed, because it doesn't just automatically get to the governor. I think we're still in, committee or house or whatever it is, where the
legislation.
What was it again?
The legislation.
Yeah, the legislators are discussing it, getting it ready to be signed by the governor. So they have to approve it first, and then the governor either vetoes it or signs it. So if I'm not mistaken, I do recall seeing it. I'm trying to keep up with everything going on. I have the worst memory.
Good luck.
Try to keep up with everything going on. It's freaking impossible.
Yeah.
But I urge each and every one of you to research what Jim had just mentioned. They're also pushing for...
Yeah, that's something to definitely look for.
Right. They're also pushing for a ban on pump action and semi-automatics, period. Just anything. Because pump action, I'm a shotgun shooter myself. I could probably pump off a 7-round tube in, a lot quicker than someone with the semi-automatic, Benelli or something.
I don't know about that. You had to be pretty fast with your
I'm pretty quick, bro. I'm pretty quick with that. I'm pretty quick
You might
with
have
that.
to prove that one.
Alright, we'll have to go out to the range and get me side by side with the Benelli.
Oh,
We'll see
good
what it looks like. But that's part of the argument, is that they're saying that a pump action shotgun is, you know, just as effective, if not more effective than a bolt, you know, a bolt slide. Well, obviously it's a lot more effective than a bolt slide.
Absolutely.
But you know, they're trying to say it's a lot more effective than a semi-automatic, where you just cock it once and just pop, 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 pop. Because I could, like I said, I could unload that 7-round tube in probably about 3 seconds. So.
Well, I'll take the Benelli and I'll give you a 3-shot.
All right, challenge accepted. Challenge accepted. But
really,
that's part of the argument.
Yeah, well, this is really all just about them telling us what we can have and what we can't have, right? It all comes back to that. And
well, first it looks scary. So
right.
You gotta ban it.
And this is nothing new. They've always tried to tell us what we should do, what we shouldn't do.
How many rounds of ammo we can have?
It's like nothing about freedom. It's just all about what they say.
Right.
And that everybody wants to get a job working for them because they make all of the rules, they have all of the power. So
and they got the
that's
benefits.
Where you go. Yeah.
And they got everyone that I know.
They got the
works,
benefits for life. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
forever.
a lot of people urge me to get a job with the government, and I'm like, I'm cool with investing in gold and silver. I don't want to.
I just hear government jobs are just literally, you know, you punch in and you punch out. You know, it's very different.
System.
But I don't know. I've never had a government job.
Well, you know what? I will say this. And in terms of running for office and that kind of stuff, awesome. Get into the government. You know what I'm saying?
Good people should run for office.
Good people need to get back in.
I mean, and
that's where we are now.
People will surround themselves with a good person.
Right.
That's just the way it is.
Somehow the sociopaths.
It's just common sense. People want to hear about common sense. They want to hear about something that affects them, because we're in a spot now where something that affects me does affect you and does affect everybody when we're talking about taxes, or we're talking about state laws. Or I just got a ticket because I got a $50 ticket because my car was parked off of the curb, you know, and it's just like, and there's this one guy who goes around and gives people tickets for no reason, or just for little BS reasons and stuff, and it's just like we've kind of lost our way of thinking that what we're supposed to do. What should the government do?
Well, I guess safety and regulation is a big moneymaker.
But that's not safety. That's not safety.
In their
citations.
ideals.
Yeah. There's nothing safe about that.
Well, you're parked 18 inches away from the curb, you might get hit.
That actually makes us less safe because now you have more people that might have to steal that loaf of bread because they don't have money, you know. And when you give people a ticket that don't have money, or you tell them they can't get a job unless they pay this $3,000 ticket to get their driver's license back, you've ruined that person's life. Right. You've just limited their choices of the things that they could do, and so now you're kind of, they're kind of forcing themselves on us by doing things like that, because then people do become dependent on the government. They don't have any other choice.
Dependency is the thing. You know, but here let's get back, because we can go on.
Way off topic.
We can go on and on and on. Okay, so we talked about the DC shooting. One of the other things that I really didn't want to talk about today, and I'm pretty sure you guys want to talk about it as well. We have a lot of wildfires going on. We have some flooding going on, and to me, just from examining the evidence, not theorizing, not trying to be this conspiracy guy, but really looking at the evidence and going, are they modifying our weather? Are they using, you know, cloud augmentation? Are these chemtrails actually part of this program? You know, and what's going on in Mount Diablo, I was going to say Yellowstone, Yosemite, and what's happening in Colorado and the Midwest. I mean, we're seeing this to me, it's almost like we're seeing the 2011 floods again. One of the things that I noticed, this is just a personal observation, I'm sure both of you guys seen a lot of it, was the aerial spraying, the chemtrailing, whatever you want to call it. Some people call it chemtrails, some people call it aerial spraying, some people call it weather mitigation, some people call it cloud seeding, geoengineering, fuel dumping. There's so many different names for this thing that's going on, and we're all seeing. Yeah, they're crop dusting.
Whatever they're doing, it's genocide.
Yeah, that's something.
That's what it leads to, genocide.
You know what's bad is I understood that. That's really bad.
No, they're literally drugging us. I mean, some say. We could look at the water supply. I mean, forest fluoridation. I mean, well, who's to stop them now? They got that. They're giving us, the byproduct of the nuclear industry and putting it in our water and saying, hey,
I don't think it's a nuclear byproduct.
But the sodium
it's an
fluoride?
industrial byproduct.
Well,
and we're getting it from China. And, China never sends us anything any good. So.
Right, that makes complete sense, and that there is a lot of evidence backing what you're saying as well. But there's also a lot of evidence in terms of the whole conspiracy that when they were manufacturing nuclear weapons, and one of the byproducts of that was, well, there's fluoride, sodium fluoride, calcium fluorides. Well, there's a whole freaking gamut of it, and one of the things that the conspiracy theorists are saying is, well, they couldn't dump these, partially radioactive materials into the river because it would get fined heavily. So, well, shit, just put it in the water supply. And we look at China, how you said, China never sends us anything good. Look at the New Bay Bridge. It's a freaking piece of junk.
I'm kind of scared to drive across that bridge. I don't know if I will.
I'm really scared to. Yeah.
I think I'm gonna wait at least 1 or 2 years. I don't know. Do you think I'm overdoing it?
I think so.
They built it? You think they built it?
Okay,
I worked on it.
Okay, so you should know, right? It's safe. I'm not gonna have any problem. And I can take your word for it.
Safe remains to be seen. Safe remains to be seen, but
okay.
The problems that came from that were not from the workers.
I totally agree with that.
Trying to save $1 by buying Chinese products.
Right, and that's all that I'm talking. I'm not talking about the people. I mean, the good thing is, get some people. Some
we
jobs,
have engineers that want to do the right thing, make it safe, make it well fit, but.
And you got Caltrans overriding them, and they don't know their ass from a hole.
Well, they're still working on that one little strip, right by my job. This little BART train thing that costs us like $25 million or something like that, and they're still working on it. It's not going to be done, there's no need for it. They do things that they're just
right.
Just go
right.
wild.
So let's get back to what Jim had mentioned. And I totally agree with this. China, as it is, becoming more and more quote-unquote industrialized, because Walmart, Targets, and the like, well, they need cheap slave goods and things made at the lowest price. So environmental compliance is not really China's best interest in terms of making money. So when you have all these chemicals and byproducts that are being produced from the manufacturing industries in China, well, let's do the right thing and sell it rather than dump it into a river and get fined tens of thousands of dollars and create cancer cities in China. And what did America do?
We bought it.
We bought it, and we're putting it in our freaking water supply. So it's a pretty wicked cycle, I guess.
Absolutely.
I guess you can say. Back to the chemtrail aspect of things, because I did get a little sidetracked there on the whole forced medication, the fluoride, which is good. I mean, people need to be discussing fluoride and water fluoridation at their dinner table. I mean, I don't think too many people are. I mean, one would hope they would say, "Hey, I don't want fluoride in my water."
They don't even go to the dentist and tell them not to give their kids fluoride or mercury. I mean, it's
well, no, because
insanity.
they're all told that it's
good for
it's
you.
great. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it.
Smiles all around, white teeth. Oh yes, pearls.
Yeah.
No, not the case.
That's dangerous.
Yes, please.
Mr. Greg?
All right, so we're talking a little bit about weather mitigation, chemtrails, and weather modification. So
there's another ingredient that could possibly be in chemtrails, and it's mercury. And we've been doing some research on mercury, and that is one of the most evil of
Oh,
them all.
mercury.
Is mercury, because it comes in so many shapes and sizes and does so many things, and it's never. I don't even think it's in the medical books. Like, doctors don't even know what the symptoms are for it.
Okay, so
And so we're all walking around
Right.
with mercury poisoning, which will aggravate you. It makes you suicidal.
I was familiar.
It's like the evil's best drug is the mercury stuff.
well,
And
that's
they
the-
could be spraying it on our heads for all we know.
that's the chemical lobotomy.
Doesn't it cloud your memory too? And
It
things
does.
Like that?
It does so much.
There's a lot of things Mercury does to you.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I mean,
well, the Mad
list
Hatters
is-
and all that, they had lead and mercury exposure and whatnot. The guys working in the mines,
Yes.
and they would just go insane because their mind was completely fried from mercury exposure, arsenic.
too. Yeah.
We look even
Asbestos.
and even looking back at home where we're from, we're from the Golden State, and the Golden State, yeah, it's great. We got a lot of gold, but a lot of people forget this in the history of mining and Platesville type stuff. Aluminum and mercury and heavy metals that come from these mines as byproducts. And what do? You're not going to sell mercury. I mean, maybe for thermometers and extract some of it, but your primary objective is to extract gold. So mercury is not a money-making product. It's a byproduct of the refining industry. So in parts of San Jose, San Francisco, up north, the diamond mines, whatever they're called, Empire mines, those areas near Platesville, Nevada City, Northern California, what's the other one? Pyramid Lake? Well, all those mining communities, a lot of them got devastated water supplies from the mining industry where mercury was the byproduct. And they...
But then they extracted, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, let's, back in the day when we were growing up, they're throwing sugar in our mouths, we're all getting cavities, they're throwing fluoride in there, oh, it's going to make your teeth better. Oh, now we need to drill out part of this tooth and let's throw some mercury in there. And the fillings were 50% mercury. I mean, that's huge for little kids.
Right, because it
and then they have them in vaccinations. They put mercury in vaccinations.
That's ridiculous.
It's
ridiculous.
in everything. Everything.
Right, it makes the metals...
Preservative.
Right, a preservative. What was that? The adjuvant? No, not
surely
the
doesn't
adjuvant.
preserve your immune system. I mean, it's just...
Well, it's interesting. You mentioned earlier, there is not a lot of medical research today, more than likely based on the money involved, showing the effects of mercury. If we look back at some of the older medical stuff, they show effects of the brain, literal neurons in your brain, and the effects of mercury literally disconnecting and destroying them. Just it's part of that scientific, technological dictatorship cover-up type of population control. I mentioned it a few times in the past. That's full spectrum dominance, where they could sicken you, dumb you down, through chemicals and things that are in your water, food, the air you breathe, chemtrailing, aerial spraying, that kind of stuff. So some would even go as far to say this all ties into Agenda 21 somehow, where get everybody locked into these small little compact cities where everyone's under this medical tyranny, which we see with Obamacare, where it's like, okay, well, you have cancer now, well, here's an avocado and some pills, and here's what you're gonna do. You're not gonna get chemo because you're not worth the money to do it. And with the chemtrailing, more and more people, the aerial spraying, they're getting sick. So they're being forced into these situations of, oh my God, I have no idea what's wrong with me. Cancer's going through the roof. You know what I'm saying? We're getting all these new diseases, viruses, H1N1s, all these crazy lab manufactured stuff. And there's a huge potential that this is a byproduct of the chemtrails and the aerial spraying.
Absolutely. There's no doubt. You can't dump that amount of toxins on the population and expect for everything that is underneath it to even remotely survive. It's a slow, soft kill. Millions of people have died from it.
And that's a key word.
But I think
It's a
soft
slow,
one of
soft kill. And lots of people have died from it.
absolutely. I think one of the biggest
And then
things
you've got your
that's gonna-
coroners all paid off. I mean,
Oh.
it's a master plan. They've controlled every side of this.
almost every side. Almost every side.
Well, there's a lot of people that have a will, and I mean, even if you go and kill half the people that are all for freedom, there's still a lot of people left.
Yeah.
You know, the voice will never stop, and you can't kill everybody.
That's true.
Right. But they're trying, and I don't think they're gonna succeed. And part of my logic behind they're not gonna succeed is the human spirit. And as dark and wicked and bleak and evil as things may seem and sound, and some of the information that we present on our show and we talk about, you know, may seem like there's no hope for the future. But I think awareness, education, speaking to your fellow friends, humans, whatever, just, you know, get the word out. And if they don't listen to you, just move on. You know, people, I think more and more people are...
With them.
What's that?
I think it registers with people. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no, that's fine.
I do think it registers with people, and even if they don't get it right then, a month or two, they'll be like, oh, you know, it'll just be nagging at them, and then they'll see other stuff, and they'll be like, well, maybe he wasn't so crazy after all.
It's the seeds. Those are the seeds.
Mm-hmm.
And I see a lot of that. I mean, I don't know. I'm sure you have experiences with this. There's a few people that I've spoken to back in like 2006, and they were just, no, you're freaking crazy. You watch X-Files too much. You know, you're following all this conspiracy nonsense, and now they're like, bro. Every time not just that, they're saying they're finding out stuff, and I'm like, for real? You said I was crazy a few years ago, and you know, government modifying the weather didn't exist, and all of a sudden you're bringing me facts. I think we're starting to see a lot of the fruits of our labors. You know, the simple things. It's the simple things that matter. Just that seed of dissent. You know, hey, 9/11. You know, read the official story. To me, it doesn't make any sense. That's a seed.
But that's why they keep hitting us to try to make it so that we don't recognize how many seeds we've planted. They keep unplanting them and unplanting. We just got to keep head on and just keep going.
Right.
I have a lot of people thank me. I mean, they'll private message me and say, thank you. You know, this is how I get my news, is off of reading what you... I don't mean to sound angry or anything, and I'm not. I'm just shake my head and go, oh, here's another one, here's another one. I mean...
But there might even be more that, you know, you never know of that. Just don't take that time to... You just never know who you're going to reach, you know?
In this day and age, we have come to a point where you get up, you go to work, you're enslaved, you drive your car out of the garage, you don't even look at your neighbors, nobody knows, you know, what your last name is, and, you know, I mean, there's lots of people in our school that live on our street, and one of our neighbors, literally, you know, who our kids are the same age, we've never played, we've been in the house for 5 years, and we hooked up, and we were talking in class, and she's like, who's Dawn Abbott? And I'm like, your neighbor over here? It's just, I can't help but not be, like, what are you... nobody has gotten to know their neighbors.
Yeah.
Everybody has
there's a lot.
When did that change?
You shut the
when
door,
did that change? Because wasn't there a time where everyone knew, you know, you knew...
The 60s,
yeah.
70s, in the 80s.
Even in the 80s, yeah.
It's really changed over probably the last 10 or 20 years. Really, probably the last 20 years, but the last 10 years...
Well,
definitely.
I could get into this.
Do you think that the digital social media has something to do with that?
Absolutely.
I think that has had something to do with it.
Video
I think people
games,
are working really hard and they're tired, and
I think that's a major part.
You know, we've gotten so fearful in our society, and they're like, oh, we don't know if our neighbor next door, you know, hacks off people's heads and eats their brains, and so you're scared.
Yeah.
And so you feel like if you're in your little house and you don't talk to people, then, you know, nothing else exists.
You're safe.
We have a neighbor that knows what kind of chlorine everybody uses in the pools on the block. And he got in my face one day. He's like, Dawn, you have to know who the neighbors are. You have to know who they are. So-and-so uses this. So-and-so does that. So-and-so over there's packing. So-and-so over here, well, you know, we got to really watch her because she's sick. And he knows what every neighbor's doing on every court in our street and everything.
Wow.
He walks up and down our street all the time, and he's just...
That's the guy.
That's what we
pulls
need.
us all out of
yeah.
our... Well, and then a lot of things that also, I mean, there's been like a combination of things, you know, people, you know, hire somebody to do their lawns, and so you're not out in your front yard. And you know, with us starting our yard, you know, doing our garden stuff, we were out front a lot, and so we got to know our neighbors, and so a lot of people just walked by and we would talk, and you know, and then we'd see little dog piles on our garden up there, and we'd say, I think that's Roxy, so I'll have to say something to my neighbor next time they come by. Just bring a little bag, and at least clean up after yourself. We don't have dogs, and we don't really feel like cleaning up after yours. But everybody's really cool, and when you get to know people, they, and we have Proposition 37 signs in front of our house. We'll put
Awesome.
a chemtrail, chemtrails kill in front of our. We see people, the planes flying around, and they're making absolute grids.
Yeah, grid
and
lines.
It's so
and
obvious.
Yeah.
We'll go outside and stop walkers and go. You're not questioning this? I mean.
And
we don't
that's
even really
community
care.
in action. And what was it, Jim, Greg? When you guys mentioned the whole digitalization of society, I mean, we're literally living in the age of, and myself guilty as charged.
Yeah, you're on this, you're on that, you're all.
Oh, honey, did you see
hooked
this
up.
article? Oh, honey, did you see? Oh my God, I know. Well,
And I'm not trying to justify anything that I do, and I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't watch TV.
How
I
dare
used to
you.
play video games freaking
You don't
8,
play video
10
games
hours
either?
a day. I was a hardcore gamer. I gave up the games. And I just started reading, researching, trying to keep up with everything. You know what I'm saying? And just repost what the hell and read it on my phone, sitting on the toilet, going on Facebook. It's like, I don't pick up a book at the toilet. It's like, oh, let me see what the latest Drudge headlines are. I don't know what's going on right now.
There's too many.
So it's a double-edged sword. There's good to come out of the digital age, and there's bad to come out of the digital age. I mean, the digital age, I'll say this, as a tech nerd, look at my glasses. We're in the information age, and back probably in 96, 97, I literally plugged myself into the Matrix and just started doing what kings and queens of old dreamed of doing. I started talking to people in China, the Philippines, Malaysia, Britain, France, all these other different countries, but we take that for granted, and then we paint pictures of people like myself, like, oh, this guy's just a computer junkie, he's hooked. Yeah, I'm completely hooked on the computer, totally hooked. But I enjoy the interaction of the world. I kind of get off on being able to talk to somebody in China, even though they're internet censored. You know what I mean? It's that worldwide connection that we have. Again, like I said, it's a double-edged sword. Electronics and computers can consume a person. Look at World of Warcraft. That's an internet game where people were literally prostituting themselves to get, points and all this extra magic and all this crazy stuff. That's where I draw the line. And again, like I said, I kicked my addiction to games. I used to be a big-time Quake 2, Quake 3, Nexus gamer, just, like, zoned in. Like, I'm playing a tournament right now. Leave me alone. I don't want to talk to you. Just let me play. And then I don't know, something happened to me. Something happens to people out there. I don't know. Hopefully it's happening to more people. They're breaking away from their Call of Duty and, stuck in the Matrix and researching the Matrix. I was in the Matrix. I just started researching the Matrix and, the control aspect of things. How do they control the people? How do they get them under their control? Well,
Through the video games?
well, not
they
just
do
that.
say,
Just the media and
going
the whole,
back to this shooter here, because that's one of the things that they
Violent
said
video
is
games.
this guy played a lot of violent video games, and I can, as someone who plays them, and has played them, I can see that, but I kind of wonder if it's more like a tool, and how you use it, and really there is no reason for video games or anything
Right.
like that. But,
yeah.
but I do wonder if it affects different people differently. Now, if you're sitting there playing video games for, like they say this guy was playing video games for hours and hours.
to the
and
point where he
hours.
died. There's
Yeah,
cases.
it's just like, maybe that is not so much to do with the video game, has more to do with this guy's personality or some past
Self-discipline.
problems. Yeah, lots of that. Because I do notice, because I hadn't played a video game for like years, and then my last birthday, my brother-in-law bought me a PS3, so I started playing it again. Not that much, thankfully, not yet, but just here and there, just to take a break. And I did notice a change in my personality that I didn't like. And I'm still dealing with that because I don't like, it just, you do find you're a little more secluded. You're a little more, you kind of keep to yourself. And that's why I asked about that, like if the video games, the social media, we're kind of changing to where now people don't really talk to each other, we text or we're on Facebook, we're on that, and that's why I think getting together like this is a great thing. It's almost becoming a rare thing, which it shouldn't be, right? I mean, it should be. I mean, this is what people should be doing. I think, face to face. And
drinking wine, face to face. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But no, you're absolutely right.
But there is something different about being, face to face with somebody,
right.
talking with them.
I could text you all day, Jim. I could send you messages on Facebook, but it's not the same as this conversation where, we're engaged. You know what I'm saying? Because I could, on Facebook, it's hard because, like I said, you're trying to keep up with everything, and then you get message from one person, you get message from someone else, you get message from like 1,000 other people, and you're just like, I don't even know who to start with. You know what I'm saying? But this interaction, this human interaction where we're here, you're not bothering right now, Facebook. You're here. You know what I'm saying? And Greg, you hit the nail. I totally feel it right on the head. We don't have that anymore as a society. And you're talking about the digital age. I mean, what do you see?
I see, I see like all these violent games, and all the how television has changed, and how more promiscuous and how much more sex is like in commercials.
They're damn near doing it's soft porn.
Right, it is. I mean, it's crazy.
It is so soft porn. It's not even
conditioning
funny.
everybody to.
Well, in the games
to
do
justify
that, too.
that what people do is okay, and
right.
it's not.
Right.
They're destroying people's family values and people's sense of morals. There's no morals in our country anymore. Finding people that are, friendly, that are courteous, you open a door for somebody and they'll just walk through it instead of saying thanks, or it's just people are so withdrawn from trying to be courteous and friendly to people, and that I think is one of the biggest downfalls of what's going on with our world today. There's no what's the
There's
word?
no love.
Well, love's one, but
well, love's a big one. That is a big one.
No, there's no love. There's no compassion. There's
like
just a bunch of disrespect.
A lot of disrespect.
A lot of disrespect.
And I've said this. I've never been one to profess to beat your kids, but when they took out of the schools the principal's ability to be able to punish a kid in school and give them a swat. I mean, I got a few swats when I was in school, and it straightened my ass up. My parents didn't hear about it. I mean, the principal took care of it. I was a good kid. I didn't want to go back and get another one.
Right. And I'm sure you didn't want to go back and home and tell mom that you got that.
Oh, no.
You definitely didn't want to tell mom that you
or
got
the other kids,
because I did not get my ass beat again.
Exactly. Right. And we
and way
like
worse
that.
than the principal.
But the principal was fair too, right? He was.
Yeah.
I mean, he was pretty fair.
A couple of swats, 5 swats, however bad you were, but when they took that out of the schools, it changed our society dramatically. And now you got kids in school, they're sitting there, and the teacher will ask them to do something, they'll say, "Fuck you."
Yeah.
And they don't even get sent to the principal's office for that.
Right. And I'll add to what you're saying about the disciplinary actions that the schools used to take. Some say that I was fortunate to be a few years after they got rid of it. But looking back, I kind of wish that my fellow classmates and some of my friends who are doing life in prison right now actually had that paddle to the butt. You know what I mean? My dad, my father, my mother, my family, you know, they were in high school in the 70s and going to school in the 60s, so that was just commonplace. You know, same type of stories. My father would tell me, he's like, yeah, I'd get 3 swats from the teacher. I dare not tell my mom that this happened, because if I do, I'm going to get it again.
Yeah.
You know, and
we had a teacher. I remember I was in the 1st grade, and we had one teacher, and he was known for taking his belt off and, you know, letting people know. And just the fact that we knew that he might do that probably stopped us from doing a lot of stupid things.
Right.
Well, I don't advocate that the teacher can have that authority. You know, I mean,
he was hardcore.
That's the principal's job in a way.
Yeah.
But you know, they've taken that out of the schools, and our schools are a mess.
So
our schools are a mess for a lot more reasons than that.
Well, that is
Well,
part of
I'm
it,
just
though.
talking
But that
about
isn't
from a
discipline.
society standpoint, and the way people are these days is, I think a lot of it has to do with discipline in the schools, because
Where's Justin? Where'd you go?
There will be times we disagree. I'm gonna love you forever and ever. If I'm not around, remember me. I'm gonna love you forever and ever. Where do I find peace? In my inner mind streets are full of the helpless. They don't know what wealth is. It's not in your pockets or anything that you own. You won't find it in another person. Look in your soul. Why am I selfish when I try to be selfless? A man needs some money, but still nobody will help him. They think he's on drugs because he talks to imaginary people. Like a thug, on the inside he's equal. I don't wanna see a sequel, I just wanna see peace in the streets. I got a beef when the children don't eat. I put my heart on my sleeve, I feel the stab when you bleed. And I need to slow it down, never slow down the beat. I'm a freak, I'm a phony to anyone that don't know me. They feed the queen anything and give the children baloney. They count the GMOCs, I count the C's for the truth of everything I've ever been through. All for the youth.